$552 a month. For 6 months. Then, unless you did one thing, nothing. That's not a clawback, and it isn't a mistake. It's how diagnostic code 7903 has been written since the endocrine schedule was rewritten, and almost nobody files as though they know it. There's also a rule that protects some of you from all of this entirely, and I'll get to who.
Fenrir here, and I came in wanting to argue this was unfair. I read it 3 times and I can't.
Fenrir, say why, because you changed your mind out loud, and that's worth the room hearing.
Because the 6 months isn't the VA taking something away, it's the VA saying, "We'll pay you while this gets stabilized, and after that we rate what's actually left." The problem isn't the rule, it's that nobody tells the veteran the second half is a separate claim.
Emma joining you, and that's the part I want on screen early. Hypothyroidism is one of the most treatable things in the whole schedule. Take the levothyroxine, get the dose right, and a lot of people genuinely feel fine.
Which is exactly why the 6-month structure exists. The schedule assumes treatment works, and it rates what treatment did not fix.
Erica, and for a lot of veterans, what treatment did not fix is real. The fatigue that never lifted, the weight that never came off, the depression that arrived with the diagnosis and stayed.
Each of those is rated somewhere else in the schedule under its own code, and only if somebody claims it. So before we go further, ask yourself this. Did anyone ever tell you your thyroid rating had an end date? Because that answer is the whole difference between a rating that holds and one that quietly goes to 0. And there's one group this cannot touch at all. Before we keep going, one small favor that actually moves the needle. If this is landing for you, tap like, then subscribe and turn on the bell so you do not miss the rest. 2 taps, completely free, and it pushes this in front of more people who need it. Let's read the code itself, because it is short and people quote it wrong constantly.
Professor Ferreira's at the desk for this, and I dragged her in for one reason. She reads endocrine criteria for a living, and I wanted the myxedema part said properly.
It is worth reading slowly. 7903 assigns 100% for hypothyroidism manifesting as myxedema, and the code defines myxedema rather than leaving it to interpretation. Cold intolerance, muscular weakness, cardiovascular involvement, and mental disturbance, all 4 families. That evaluation continues for 6 months beyond stabilization of the crisis, and then residual effects are rated under the appropriate body system codes.
4 families, not any one of them?
As written, myxedema is the presentation, not a menu. That is why 100% is rare here and why most veterans never see it.
Emma, that's the trap. And the tier almost everyone actually gets?
30% for hypothyroidism without myxedema, and it runs for 6 months after initial diagnosis. After that, again, residuals under the appropriate diagnostic codes. There is no 10% rung and no 60. The old graduated ladder people remember is gone.
Ferreira, that last sentence is the one that catches people. They're searching for criteria that no longer exist.
They are, and they find them because the older tables are still all over the internet. Fatigability, constipation, mental sluggishness, bradycardia, those were real criteria once, and they are not the test now.
There is one carve-out worth knowing. Eye involvement from thyroid disease, exophthalmos, corneal ulcer, blurred vision, or diplopia is evaluated separately under the eye codes. That one the schedule tells you to split. Thank you, Ferreira. The 4-family definition of myxedema is the thing I'd have got wrong.
So what does the money look like on either side of month 6? Because that's the question underneath all of this.
Take a single veteran, no dependents, newly service-connected for hypothyroidism without myxedema, 30%. Under the rates that took effect this past December, that's $552.47 a month.
Erica, and 6 months later?
If nothing was claimed, 0. Not reduced to 10. 0, because there is no rung underneath. $552.47 a month gone, on schedule.
Erica, and if the residuals were claimed? That is the real question here. What happens at month 7 if you did name them?
Then you're rated on what's actually left, and that can land anywhere. Persistent depressive symptoms have their own criteria. Cardiac involvement has its own. So does the eye involvement we just mentioned. The point is not that residuals are automatically worth more than 30%. The point is that they are worth whatever they are worth, and nothing is worth nothing.
Erica, that's the whole trap in one line. You can be doing everything right, taking the pill, showing up for the labs, and still lose the entire rating because a form went in without the word fatigue on it.
It is. If you only hold one thing from this episode, hold that the 6-month mark is a deadline you were never handed. Now the part I promised, and it's the reason a lot of you can stop worrying entirely.
Ferreira's back with us for the protections, and this is where I stopped arguing.
Section 3.951, subsection A readjustment to the schedule for rating disabilities shall not be grounds for reduction of a disability rating in effect on the date of the readjustment unless medical evidence establishes that the disability to be evaluated has actually improved.
Ferreira, say that in kitchen table terms, because that paragraph is doing a lot of work and most people will never read it.
If you were already rated under the old graduated criteria when the schedule changed, the change itself cannot take your rating. They would need medical evidence that you actually got better. The new 6-month structure governs new claims, not a retroactive haircut on yours.
Ferreira, and the 20-year rule on top of that?
Subsection B, a disability continuously rated at or above an evaluation for 20 or more years will not be reduced below that evaluation except on a showing that the rating was based on fraud. 20 years and it is effectively locked.
So there are really two audiences watching this. If you have been rated for years, you are protected, and this episode is context. If you are filing now or you were diagnosed recently, the clock is the thing.
And nobody sends you a letter when the clock runs out.
Thanks, Ferreira. Reading subsection A out loud is going to save somebody a very bad afternoon.
So let's land it on what a person does this week, because this one is genuinely actionable.
If you were diagnosed recently and you are inside the 6 months, claim the residuals now, by name, not thyroid problems, fatigue, depressive symptoms, cardiac symptoms, weight change, eye involvement if you have it.
Emma, why does naming them matter so much?
Because a rater evaluates the conditions in front of them. There is no box on any form that says "and anything else this caused." If it is not named, it is not rated, and the 6 months runs out whether or not anyone told you it was running.
File them as secondary to the service-connected thyroid condition, which is the relationship the schedule already expects.
And the people this doesn't apply to?
2 groups, and I want both said out loud. If you have been rated for years, 3.951 already protects you, and there is nothing here to act on. And if you took the medication, your levels came back, and you genuinely feel fine, then 0 after 6 months is the correct answer and not a robbery. That is what the schedule is for. Here's what I'd actually do if you're inside the window and you still don't feel right. File the residuals by name this month rather than waiting to see whether the rating holds. That's the smart play, because the deadline does not wait for you to notice it.
And that honesty is why I'd rather people hear this from us than from a forum.
Here's the sentence to keep. This code pays you while you stabilize and rates you on what's left, so make sure somebody wrote down what's left. Subscribing is free, it takes 1 tap, and it puts the next one of these in front of a veteran whose 6 months started last week. And if you know somebody who got a thyroid rating in the last year, send them this minus. Their clock is already running and nobody is going to call them about it. I'll go first. I would have assumed a rating was a rating and never checked the date, so tell me. Did anyone ever tell you your thyroid rating had an end date? Check the date on your letter, then count 6 months. I'm Erica, go get what's actually left, and take care of yourselves.